Okay, there we go. Oh, let's let a couple more people in. So I just want to say good morning to everybody, and thank you very much for joining us at our November meeting. As usual, we have a very packed agenda. So I'll just let you know what's going to be happening today, and then we'll just do a quick go around, and just if you can just introduce yourself and say where you're from, that would be lovely, because we have got some new faces in the room, which is, thank you for joining us. So we've got our speakers today are Paul Johnson, who's kindly joined us from Public Health. So he's going to be talking about the warm hubs and warm spaces in the city. We've got Meline Edwards. Welcome, Mel, from Livewell. So she's going to be talking about the winter roadshow that's happening around the city as well. Then V's going to pop in. She's not here quite yet, from Stonehouse Community Fridge, just to talk about how the first roadshow went that was delivered from the other side. And then Ian Smith from Food Plymouth is going to be talking, he has a huge list about food coordinator, the new role, and the community builders that have come into play in the city. He's going to talk about Community of Dragons, which is a very exciting event that's coming up. An update on warm hubs from a Food Plymouth perspective, an update on the support for the PFAN network and the facilitation and mapping that's going on. Thermal cooking bags, that would be an interest to some of you, and affordable food clubs. And then we'll do any other business. And I know that there's a couple of people dropping in later on that want to share some bits in that. So yeah, very full. We'll try and hopefully squeeze everything into the hour. So we are recording it, so hopefully those that are just joining, that's okay with you, because a lot of people in the network aren't able to join for various reasons, but we'll follow that up a little bit later. So if we could just go around the room and just do a brief introduction to everybody that's not on the call, that'd be great. Ian, I'm going to start with you, because I'm going to go from left to right, because if that's okay.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. And so my name's Ian Smith, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm from Food Plymouth, the core team and the CIC that provides the infrastructure support. And I'm here particularly because of the work we do supporting Plymouth Food Aid Network. So thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Paul?
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Johnson. As Tami said, I work in the public health team of Plymouth City Council. So at the moment, I'm doing a little bit of work around the warm spaces.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Paul. Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay from Plymouth Soup Run.
Thanks, Lindsay. Ilse, is that right again?
Sorry, I'm Ilse, and I'm from the Village Hub in Stoke.
Thank you. Mel?
Yeah, morning everybody. Mel Edwards. I'm acting head of health improvement for the wellbeing team at Livewell Southwest. I oversee the health improvement contract we're commissioned by Public Health, and obviously food and healthy eating as part of that. So good to see you all.
Thanks, Mel. Angela? I don't know if Angela's able to speak. Feel free to pop something in the chat if that's easier. We can't hear you if you are. So Jess, can I come to you?
Hi everyone, I'm Jess. I'm part of the Good Food team at Stoke Village Hub, and I also do food growing work with various different projects.
Thanks, Jess. Jabo?
Morning, everyone. Just talking about food, I'm feeling hungry. So I'm Jabo with managing director of DBI. It's really good to see, especially Roger. I haven't seen Roger for ages. Good to see you, Roger. Hi, Lindsay. Worked with many people here. Well connected in Stonehouse and Devonport and in the whole Plymouth.
That's great, thank you. Carl?
Good morning. My name is Carl Travis. I work out of the Plymouth Community Homes out of the Beacon.
Thanks, Carl. Christina?
I'm Christina, and I'm from the Plymouth Foyer supported accommodation for 16 to 25-year-olds.
Lovely, thank you. Roger. Don't know if Roger can hear me. We'll come back to Roger. Eve?
Hello, I'm Eve and I'm part of the food bank team at Four Greens Community Trust.
That's lovely, thank you. And for the, oh, and I probably ought to introduce myself. So my name's Tami Skelton, and so I work for Food Plymouth. I'm one of the core team members and help to support the Food Aid Network. And my other hat is for Food is Fun, where we educate people on cooking, budgeting, and all things food related. So, so I think we'll jump straight into the speakers, if that's okay. So Paul, could we start with you and then follow Mel? Could you go straight after? Because I think that would link better that way round.
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in response to the whole cost of living crisis, Plymouth City Council, along with many other councils, probably every council in the country, is trying to mount some sort of response and aid for their residents. So the part of the response that I'm working on is around setting up warm spaces, or not even setting them up, just identifying them in one place so that people can find them in some respects. So we've tried to keep it quite open in terms of a definition of a warm space, and that it's a heated area indoors, and that's open to everybody. It's free to attend, and as a minimum, we'd want it to be open regularly once a week, so that there's that sort of consistency in the provision. So that's as the very basics. Obviously, different spaces, different organisations can add extras into that provision. Sometimes it can be free hot drinks. They might have access to Wi-Fi or computers. They might allow people to plug in things to the electric to charge it up when they're there. Some organisations have a food bank on site or a community larder. Others might provide meals or snacks, or they might have a paid for cafe. Like I say, it's sort of different offers, but the core offer is that it's very much a warm space for people to go in the winter, where they can socialise with others and stay warm and connected. So at the moment, we've got around 32 that are in operation. So that's some of the council buildings, like you'd expect, such as libraries, the Box, Brickfield Sports Centre, the churches through Transforming Plymouth Together have come on board, and again that's expanding week on week, so we're adding more and more to that. I know we've got the hub in Stoke, I think we've got Leadworks in Stonehouse, and like I say, we're sort of adding to that as we go throughout the year. At the moment, the council's got a cost of living page, or a section of the website, with help and advice and signposting on it, one of which is an interactive Google map, so you can look at what's local to you or where you are, click on it, and it'll give you a little bit of information, opening times, contact details, things like that. And like I say, we're updating that at the moment about once a week, with an extra anywhere between sort of 3 and 10 spaces that open up. What else? So there's some funding, in terms of funding. So the Household Support Fund for Plymouth has been confirmed from central government, and Rachel Silcox, who's within the public health team, is sort of leading on that and is developing a sort of funding framework, I guess, to put some posh words around it. But yeah, so in terms of the warm spaces, I think she's just finalising the details of the funding now, and it's based on, very broadly, 3 tiers of provision. So on the basic level, it's the warm space, it's a lounge that's open to everybody, somewhere warm to sit. It might have either free hot drinks or sort of like, you know, low cost hot drinks or donation, pay what you can. The second level's same as the first, but also has the addition of basic snacks or hot food, soup and a roll type of thing. Again, it could be free or donation, pay what you can. And then the final level, which is a little bit more complex, I think, operationally, for the organisation that would provide it, but is a sort of kitchen, community kitchen type space where people can go in, take their own food or have food there on site and use the kitchen utilities to actually cook meals for themselves and or others. So like I say, Rachel's just finalising the details this week, and I think she's going to sort of release that out into the world next week with a sort of reasonably quick turnaround of, what will it be, maybe sort of 7 to 10 days to put in an application for that. I suppose the one thing that I will say is that in setting up these warm spaces, we're sort of responding to an assumed need, and we're not sure how big the demand will be or which groups it will come from or which areas of the city will take it up the most. So we're working on some basic assumptions, but I think going forwards throughout the winter, we'll have to be quite flexible in the approach to change it and shift the resources to respond to demand or plug any gaps. Or yeah, it's a case of run with it and do our best, I think. But that is it, Tami.
Thanks, Paul. That's been really interesting. Has anyone got any questions? I imagine there probably are.
I'll pop the website in the chat so that you can click on it and have a look. Oh, one thing I will say as well around everything being digital, we're aware that a lot of people won't have digital access for whatever reason. So myself and Charlotte, who's just joined the call down there, give us a wave, Charlotte, are working on just a page in the Plymouth Chronicle, which is basically an offline version of the web pages with telephone numbers and ways to get online, so that we can reach as many people as possible.
Brilliant, thanks. Mel's got a question.
No, it's okay. He's just answered it.
Okay. Ian, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, if I can just find on all my buttons here the unmute. Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks, that's really helpful, that, Paul. What I was going to say to you is when the opportunity to to tender to make make yourselves available as a hub comes, as a warm hub, and if you want to do it, and if you're impeded in doing that by not having equipment like, say, a tier or something along those lines, anything in the way of equipment and hardware, please have a chat to us and don't let that stand in your way, because we've got a little bit of money that when we were commissioned to support the network here, we've got a little bit of money available for things that which would be useful to you, like that. So please don't let that be a stumbling block. So just have a chat to us if that would be helpful to you in support of tendering for and offering up a warm hub space. Okay, so thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Roger?
I'm Roger from Crops at Key and Green Places. We are increasingly concerned about the reduction in donations of food that are coming in against a background of increasing demand. And in effect, what we're having to do at the present time is to spend money on buying food to supplement the donations that we receive. Now, we are still to, if you like, experience the crisis of, if you like, family incomes as we approach Christmas. And I'm just wondering whether we can do anything to increase the supply of donations.
Thanks, Roger.
Tami, is it okay if I speak to that a second?
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
Thank you.
brilliant. So Roger, yeah, thanks for raising that. I know this has been an ongoing theme that you've raised on several occasions now. There is another organisation in Plymouth that's struggling in a similar way as well, and that I know of. There might be others, but yourselves and another are one that I know of. There's a conversation going on with Fair Share tomorrow around this, in response. Well, it's not just in response to that, but it will be factored into that bigger conversation with Fair Share. So I will be able to say more about that fairly soon, I hope. Now, whether that will be something reassuring and helpful, because we all know what you would like to hear, or whether it'll be something else, I don't know. But that's something I'll be able to do following that conversation tomorrow. The other thing is that there is an opportunity to have a look at some cooperative food buying. However, if we then do cooperative food buying, or you do, or we help you to do it, it's a question of where that would then be stored and handled, and all the logistics that we all know is an issue in this field. But that's another option that's being looked at as well. Now, Fair Share did a lot of buying during COVID in bulk. So that might be something that might be possible to reinstitute in some form. So those are two possible solutions, and I'll keep you posted and everyone else posted as to where that goes next. But thank you for raising it again. I hope that's some help to you. So do you want to come back on that?
Well, all that I can say is that Fair Share are having similar problems, and Fair Share is our principal supplier of food at the present time, and in effect that is starting to be, if you like, experiencing reductions. So I'm not sure whether we collectively or individually are, if you like, considering perhaps some really, if you like, dramatic interventions to rectify the problem. And, what Ian has said is reassuring, but, I think that a lot of people who are on the fringe of what we're doing do not appreciate, if you like, the extent of the problems that we're currently experiencing. And what I fear is that several of our sister or brother food banks will collapse through, again, not having enough food to distribute.
Yeah, so I mean that's a conversation I'll factor in tomorrow with that, because it's the whole supply position, I think, is so important, and whether the full range of potential supply is being, sometimes you get caught in the mechanics of these things, which cause difficulty operationally for people like yourselves. It's not unknown, is it? So I think that's the point, is how to do that. And I'll say a bit about affordable food clubs in a minute as well, when I got my official slot, but I just thought I'd try and respond now to, because, obviously it's a source of some, anxiety, and, it's a cause of concern across the piece, really. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, if there aren't any other questions for Paul, Mel, could we move to you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so from our perspective, in response to the cost of living crisis, we've commissioned Food is Fun to try and create some resources to support people who might be worrying about their financial situation. So we're looking at creating a healthy eating recipe book, but specifically for slow cookers, because as we know, they are more cost effective in terms of energy, and also to have a couple of clips around some demonstrations for some recipes with slow cookers. So that's something that we can share with PFAN when it's ready. And then on the back of the warm spaces that Paul's been talking about, so we're looking at using some of those spaces to actually provide some slow cooker workshops, promote the recipe booklets, and also promote some of our other offers from a wellbeing perspective. So obviously for smokers, then, we can do brief intervention around giving up smoking and a swap to stop offer. But so it won't just be around food, but just health improvement in general and how that can support people to save some money. So we're looking at that being a kind of roadshow sort of type event, and it will be in different areas. And Tim, one of my colleagues, has contacted, made contact with Paul to sort of identify which warm spaces would be the best ones to start. And I guess going on from what you were saying, Paul, about, we don't know until it's trialed where the most popular areas will be, but we'll try to identify those and prioritize those, because obviously we won't be able to go to all 32 of them. So that's happening. We had the first roadshow last week at Leadworks, and I saw that V's joined as well. So I wasn't actually there, but my colleague Tim was there, and we've had some positive feedback. So I don't know if V's got anything that she would like to add to that, but the roadshows are up and running, and there will be more information for those in the near future.
Thanks, Mel. V, do you want to have a word? Can't hear you. Nope.
No.
Well, the feedback
the feedback I've had was positive, so maybe V can put something in the chat bar.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully V cancelled it out, but yeah. So that's brilliant. Thank you, Mel. Has any questions for Mel at all? No. Okay. So, Ian, if we could come to you with your list. It's quite long.
Yeah.
You've already mentioned about the support for warm hubs a bit there. I don't know if you wanted to expand on that first and then move on to the others.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to say, V, you're showing us muted, and I can't unmute you myself, even though I'm a co-host. So I was wondering if it was possible for V to say anything if she's unmuted, but try now.
No.
Oh, okay. No, just sad not to be able to hear that first-hand account, isn't it? But hopefully in time, keep playing with the controls there, V. Hopefully it'll come right. So cost of living, yeah. So I mean, Paul, myself, Rachel Silcock, Mark Rolls from Four Greens, the Plymouth CAB team, Mel Edwards on the digital inclusion side, a whole bunch of us are working around the whole cost of living crisis and trying to come up with a joined up response to that. And I think we're on our way to that. Lindsay and others have been involved in a food action group coming out of that as well, which has been really helpful. So again, that's one I think that is going to run. So you'll hear more about that as it unfolds. Just to let you know that a young man called Jack French has joined CAB and is starting to do some outreach work, certainly with the Trussell Trust food banks. And hopefully you'll come across Jack in time as well, just so you've got his name. And we'll see if Jack can come along and be a guest speaker at one of these soon. So that would be really good if that's possible. There's on the subject of big developments like that as well. Plymouth has set up a system of community builders, which are linked to community connections in the council and public health, and are also being managed out of Four Greens Community Trust there, where Eve is based, and Mark Rolls is playing quite a role in that. So those are community-based people in some of the more disadvantaged areas of the city, at least to begin with. So you might well find them making contact with you, and I think many of you have got them in the areas that you're based in, and making contact with you. What another interesting part of that, which is relevant to your client base, is there is based on the Cooperation Towns model out of Islington. There is in fact, Kelly has been appointed as a co-op food coordinator, and that's for small sort of residential scale, groups of neighbours and friends to band together to form a small food buying co-op at a domestic scale. So this might help with some of the work that Roger's concerned about, for example, and I think relevant to all the rest of you as well. So Kelly, what's Kelly in on one of these? I mean, we really, maybe we can invite her to, she only just started in the role, but we'll see if we can get her on the next one again of these, so you all get to know her. And also, and maybe Jabo might want to speak to this in a minute, just to cue Jabo up, but he's normally very good at going from cold. We've had what I've called the Lisa gap for the last couple of months or so, where Lisa Howard had been providing that, there were three of us really, Tami, Lisa and myself, supporting the network, and Lisa went two and a bit months ago and left a thumping great hole, basically, which we've been struggling to fill and plug. And that's very important because that relates into things like the food access map and things like that. Now, the very good news is that we've managed to negotiate with Jabo and the Diversity Business Incubator for DBI to come in and provide that level of support. And we're grateful to Rachel Silcock as well for some additional support around the mapping side of things, in order to actually get on top of that and actually make the team whole again, as it were, to provide the service we want to for you. So I know that that's caused a lot of frustration, the map being out of date. So it's great that Jabo and Co are going to start very soon. We've only just confirmed it, I think Monday, Tuesday, wasn't it? So but just bringing that message now. Do you want to say a little bit about that, Jabo, about with the very sketchy info you've got at the moment?
Thank you, Ian. You managed to drag me in. It's a pleasure for us to be able to come and help this network as well. We already have quite good connections, many people, Lindsay and V, and we're already working in that part of the food distribution and the food support. So it's about how do we get more efficiently, but as well as having a team who can help in the back office in terms of communication or anything which need to reach out, and that link within communities and connection. So yeah, we are more than happy to come on board and contribute, bring our connections, and even with we're talking about fair share. We work with them as well, but it's just for us, the challenge was we didn't have where to take the food we're getting. So they were I used to collect from small Tesco, and they were going to give me a bigger Tesco, but I say, well, I don't have where to take all this bread and other producers. But if we have this network, it's easier where we plug to everyone. So we'll bring all that capacity on board, and I think maybe we'll get a chance to speak to Roger as well and see what is the need there. So we are on that app. Even Christmas, they were asking, are we open so that they can keep providing? So for me, I was going to say no because I didn't know where to take it to, but if everyone is open, then I can say yes and collect and take there. So yeah, we'll be able to bring all that in.
That's really good. And so what will happen is, because Carl Williams has been manfully, or if I'm allowed to say that nowadays, but what's the word, energetically trying to provide some support into updating the maps. But that was set up really for each of the individual causes to be able to go in and do it. So I think what you find is Jabo and his colleagues have been making contact with you on the front line and saying, please, can you give us access to and your permissions to update that, and by the way, what are you currently doing, when are you open, what services are you providing, all that stuff, so that the map can be made fully up to date as soon as possible. But we're very grateful to Carl for his efforts to do that, and I think he'll probably still want to do a little bit of that from time to time, but I think he's got his work cut out with other interesting projects at the moment as well. He's very energetic in the field. So what I did want to say in terms of support is, when the next set of the Household Support Fund opportunities comes out, and that's, as Paul said, very imminent now, you will find that there will be a significant shift to a cash first approach there, which, as we know, Trussell Trust and others advocate for, to give money in people's pockets to buy their own food rather than be provided through other providers. But a really good way through this is the Affordable Food Club type model, which is what I would encourage a number of you, and including Roger as well, to have a look at doing, where you provide, in return for a £5 payment, a membership of £1 a year very often, and for say £5 from people that use your services, they can get 50 £15-20 worth of produce back. And so there's brilliant work going on with 4 Greens on that, who do an affordable food club model and also do other forms of aid and numerous other things around food as well. So that's a great situation they've got there. Great work going on down in the church in Devonport. I've just gone blank. You know, the one where the library is, but that one. They do sorry?
St Albans.
I think it is. Yeah, it is St Albans, isn't it? Yes. And they're brilliant work down there. I was down there a few weeks ago, an amazing affordable food club there. So thank you. And great work going on over at Saltash as well, who are that Saltash team are often on this call, aren't they? So if you want to have a look at that and you don't really know where to start, or you know where to start but you don't know where to go next, please have a chat to myself on that, because I've been talking with Andrew Shadrake, who's a cooperative business advisor, and between us we will advise, support and do whatever we can to help you get affordable food clubs off the ground. So it isn't like, oh, off you go and do that, you know, come back when you've done it and that'll be fine. We will actually try and help you with that. Okay. And that's, you know, certainly in the case of Andrew, that's really valuable support to have. And I'll do what I can in the background to help as well. So on which subject? We have got a Community of Dragons event coming up. Now we being Food Plymouth, the wider organisation, have got like a residency down at the Community Climate Hub, the Community Climate Centre, the old Waterstones building near Moments Cafe. And on the 25th of, which is Friday, 25th of November, we've got in the evening, we've got a Community of Dragons event. And what Community of Dragons is, it's basically it's a bit like Dragon's Den, but it's much friendlier and everyone wins rather than someone wins and someone else loses. All right. The whole idea is that businesses in that sort of just beyond the startup stage, but if you're at startup, have a chat to us as well. But when you're looking to expand and grow, Jabo knows a lot about this because he does a lot of this. You need various forms of support, and sometimes that's cash, sometimes it's other forms of investment, sometimes it's advice, guidance, mentoring, coaching, sometimes it's the loan of some equipment or use of premises or any of these things. So if you're someone that has got any of that or mixtures thereof, or even if you can just, in inverted commas, be encouraging to those businesses, please come that evening. And if you know, or if you yourselves you know, are at a stage of looking to do something that is a business, or it's got a trading element, there's a business element to a charitable type activity, then again, please have a chat to us and we'll see if we can get you in so you can present what you're looking to do and attract some friendly dragons to come and support you in various ways, whatever your needs are. So that's on the evening of Friday, 25th of November, and we'll put a link to that in the chat, Tami, and everything. Not in the chat, in the follow-up bulletin that goes with this. Is that right? I'm looking at you because Tami does the tech stuff. Is that right?
Yeah.
We can do that.
There's already something's gone out to the network with it all in there with the information, but I will resend it with all the details. Great.
Was that in the reminder for this?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay. Okay. Forgive me I had spotted that, but it had gone out my head. So, but we'll send it again as well, because twice is better than once. Okay. Any questions on any of that? Did that make sense? And does that give you a flavor for what it's about? Or have you got any questions? Can't see any hands. Okay. All right. But if you have, or if it occurs to you later, please make contact and we'll do our best to answer. A really interesting thing, and Tami, I'd be grateful for your input in this because I don't fully understand what these things are, but you do. That our friends down at Scrap Store have come up with this amazing thing for keeping food hot, these thermal cooking bags. But Tami, can you explain how they work and what they are? Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't actually fully understand it until I watched a video. So basically, it's a bit like a sleeping bag, using a special sleeping bag for a pot. So you prepare your food in a stock pot or a saucepan or whatever implement you're using. And then you put your food onto the hob or onto a plate and cook it for 15 minutes. And then the concept is that you take it off your hob and put it into this special bag and seal it all up, and it's packed with insulation, and it will keep the food at the right temperature, and it will continue to carry on cooking. That's the concept. I'm slightly skeptical because I look at it on I'm now juggling a hot pot, and what's the safety in that? So I'd like to learn a little bit more, but the concept sounds fantastic. And looking at the way, so the scrap store have designed this, I'm going to call it a sleeping bag, a pot sleeping bag in a way. And it's specially insulated with whatever product they've used. I couldn't work that out from the video. But I don't know how long it will keep warm for. And we've got to also look at the fact that if you're using meat, is meat heated? Is it cooked first, etc. So it's a bit of this is a new concept that we only found out about this yesterday. And watch this space. So it's not my project, but the scrap store, I'm hoping, will maybe even come on here maybe next month and do a little demo of how it works, which would be lovely, so you could see it, because some of you might be able to use it and at least share the concept with some of your service users, because ultimately anything that reduces using those hobs, ovens, anything, it's going to save money. But I think from looking at the way that it's being discussed is that they'll be helping to provide the materials to be able to make your own. So they're going to be looking at running some workshops just after Christmas. So we'll send out and share more information on that if you'd like to have a workshop down in your setting for yourself or some of your members. Brilliant. Not sure if that is it, Wonder Bag. Thanks, Charlotte. As I say, I just saw a video of the scrap store doing it when they came down to speak to Sophie, the Food Plymouth coordinator. So it was something that she videoed herself, which was it was really cool. I liked the idea. But as I say, I just want to make sure it's safe before so that's my main concern, obviously.
It sounds really interesting, doesn't it? And I'm thinking, Paul, that, and I'm not putting you, well, I'm putting you on the spot, but please don't feel forced to comment. But I'm wondering if it's a thing that could be a really useful addition to the warm hubs, particularly that higher level warm hubs where you do the cooking, and you've got that sort of community cookery. And I'm thinking that maybe that I don't know quite how the size thing works, but very often it's single people, isn't it? I know Lindsay speaks very eloquently about this, of people on their own for various reasons, and in some cases, homeless or vulnerably housed, etc. That if they had one of those and you'd have a single person size meal in there, it might be really good, as well as a sort of family size as well. But I'm wondering that would be an ideal way of of actually making the most of this. And like Tami said, if it's something where you can actually actively heat it for 20 minutes, say, and then it passively carries on cooking and heating at the right food safe temperature for half an hour later, then it's got to be a great thing for everyone, isn't it? So I'm really excited about this. Sorry, Lindsay, you've unmuted. You're going to say something.
Yeah. Oh, you're well spotted. If I could indeed raise the flag for being single can be very expensive, and if you have a home to go to, and a lot of our clients don't have a home to go to, it's very expensive maintaining a home for a single person. So if I could just mention, Ian, about the cost of living task force. Soup Run isn't on the food group, but we're on the warm spaces working group, which hopefully will morph into something looking at health, because I think health is an obvious effect of cost of living tightness, that people start to get poorly, as well as just being hungry or cold or whatever, but there can be knock-on effects. So hopefully that work will continue. But yeah, it was the main thing about thanking you for mentioning the single people, because I think families are incredibly important, but single people can miss out because of that emphasis.
Great, thank you. Yes, yeah, and sorry about that. Yeah, the whole cost of living piece is there's so much happening in it that my head sometimes inadvertently scrambles and rewires itself badly. So apologies for that, but I think all will come out in the wash as it starts to roll out. I think when it stops being an abstract concept and goes live and practical, then which I think we're all looking forward to, then yeah, that should be a good thing. Great. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I think V's managed to unmute herself somewhere along the line and sort of tech issue is out. So V, do you want to come back in and just respond?
Yeah, it's this sound desk. It's ridiculous. There's too many buttons. Yeah, so the obviously we piloted with Food is Fun, the first of the slow cooker roadshows demonstrations. The people that we had here were really like when we spoke afterwards in the next couple of days, they were just like, oh, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. And so, yeah, just some really informative sort of little bits of information that can make a massive difference. And then pairing that up with the Livewell information as well, I thought was fantastic. We had a few people talking about the is it the one you, that's it. Sorry, there's so many things to remember, isn't there? So yeah, with the One You program as well. So, you know, we're looking at, you know, seeing if we can have another roadshow demonstration down here, but also running the One You project as well down here, because obviously, you know, it's all linked together, isn't it? The people that we have coming in are hungry, skin, and their health is declining. So, you know, it'll be perfect. So yeah, absolutely fab. We're glad we got to try it out first. So thank you.
We'll be back.
Yeah. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, V. That's really helpful. Yeah, so there's loads going on. Absolutely loads going on. Charlotte, I know you wanted to share something as well. So if I just come straight to you, what I remember.
Okay, as long as nobody else has any other business that they wanted to discuss, like, you know, around what's just been talked about.
There may be more questions, but I know you specifically wanted to share something. So, well, I'll do that bit afterwards because they may have questions for you as well.
Okay, so this relates to what we've been talking about. So in response to the cost of living crisis that's going on, UNICEF have produced a document around infant feeding. And we don't know, and that's why I've come to this group, but it's likely that there are families who are struggling with food insecurity, who do have a young child, and they may be concerned about how they can feed that child if that child is not being breastfed. So there's some guidance that's come out around that, and we're looking at how we can respond to that need. So initially we'd like to know what that need is. So we're really trying to find out from our partners and networks whether anybody has been coming forward and asking about infant formula. And if you haven't heard anybody doing so at this point, whether you could kind of log where, you know, whether people are, just so we can sort of capture what that need is, because then we're going to match that with, you know, costings and try and work out whether we can have a hub for people to be referred to where they can get infant formula. We're not sure how that's going to work at the moment, but we'd quite like it to be sort of based in a place where they can also have that kind of health advice as well, and, you know, any sort of linking it in with you know, support around feeding if they were considering it and they hadn't thought about it. You know, obviously we really want to encourage people to be breastfeeding where possible. That's not always a possibility. So yeah, so it's really just trying to capture whether anybody has had any requests through the work that you're doing at the moment, and whether we could just keep an eye out for that, really. So and feed that back to Tami or to myself. I can put my email in the chat for you to do that. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions? I see Mel's got her hand up. Hi, Mel.
Hi. Yeah, just to tap in there, really, we have got our breastfeeding peer support workers across the city. And I know, you know, it doesn't work for everybody, but if we can support in any way to encourage people more so to breastfeed initially, then, you know, we've got that resource that we can pull on. So just to reflag, I'm sure you probably know it's there, but, you know, just to let you know if we can help in any way.
Yeah. So that this came out of a meeting where we were sort of talking about how we could then refer on to the peer support groups as part of that, because obviously that's what we want to be encouraging. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, breast is best.
Where possible, and obviously isn't always,
not,
but
for people, and we have to respect that. And
thanks.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Well, V's just popped in the chat that they have a few down at the community fridge in Stonehouse, but they very rarely get formula donated.
Yeah, and I think what was in the guidance is that I guess we want to sort of avoid having donations coming in to food banks for the infant formula, because then we can't keep an eye on what kind of formula it is, whether it's the right kind of formula, whether it's got the vitamins and minerals in it that it should have. It's got to be a kind of approved formula, and then there's all there's issues around like making sure that actually if that baby is over 12 months, they shouldn't be on formula anymore, they should be on cow's milk, and it's there's quite a few sort of considerations that go along with it, and so we're really just at this stage where we just want to sort of see where we are with things, and then we can maybe think about chatting with different members of the team to sort of pass that information out on what's appropriate and where they can refer people on if there is a need. Hi Ian, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, no, I was just struck really on this because again, Lindsay mentioned it just now, and we've talked about this before around the whole food as health and everything that goes with that in that wider health and well-being kind of sphere, as it were. And it's very much what yourself and Mel have been talking about here, isn't it? And V was bringing that out. And I'm just thinking for the network generally, it's a question for all of us, I guess, but I'm questioning now, going, actually, can we do even more to build on this, to make sure that that whole health and well-being piece is fully woven in and as accessible, whatever offers are available, whatever support and opportunities for all of the members on the front line here to do the best they can. Because I'm sure for those of you that are service providers, the PFAN network on the front line, ideal ways of channeling people that need your services, so it's a good way of you reaching out, and it's another thing that the PFAN membership, if they can and want to, could provide. I'm just looking really at the sustainability and the effectiveness of the whole piece, so it's a bit of a big concept that, but it's just the cogs going around in my head and it's now coming out my mouth. Is there any sense in that?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense to try and link it up. I think there's parts of that happening already, isn't there, with the CAB being the outreach worker for citizens advice being based in within various places so that they can offer that information and advice, and so having the health element as well sort of tied in with that would be really good. Yeah, it's
sort of doing it as a semi-organized theme, a purposeful theme. Anyway, I'll go quiet now, but thank you ever so much for that, and it's good to have this conversation.
Roger.
Yeah, I think there's good mileage in this, because there is beyond all doubt evidence that many health conditions are linked to inadequate food. And, I think that we have to do a lot more in trying to, if you like, adopt a prevention rather than cure approach to how food is used. My own personal view is that food is probably the best medicine that people can take into their bodies if they know just what is good and what is bad. And I don't think, my own feeling is that a lot of people from middle class backgrounds are aware of this, but it hasn't spread out quite so much to, if you like, people of more modest means, when, if you like, their principal concern is on survival and getting something into their bodies rather than choosing the best things to get into their bodies.
Thank
So
you,
I think
Roger.
there's lots of mileage in this, yes.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said indeed. I've got lots of hands up. So V, I'll come to you first.
So you know how there's quite a lot of sort of well-being sort of pop-up sort of roadshow type things. I don't know if the roadshow with Food is Fun and Livewell could include you know, like a bigger variety of things that are really sort of like health related. So it's not just Livewell, it's kind of the whole shebang. If you're going to do it, let's just go large. If you're going to do them in these warm spaces, food places, you know, you're getting right into the middle of the community, not necessarily just going to sort of like well-being hubs like you know, Rees Centre and Four Greens. It's absolutely fabulous, but maybe use this opportunity to use these road shows where you're getting right into the, you know, the nitty gritty of some of these communities and put that health stuff in there. Just an idea.
Can I just come in there? Sorry, but that's absolutely the plan, V. That's exactly where we want to be, right in the heart of the communities, and to really reconnect and have a full offer. So although, you know, obviously our focus today is around food and healthy eating, our offer is much broader than that. And we've done a lot of work with Lindsay, for example, around Swap to Stop with homeless communities and Devonport House, and obviously that's an opportunity for people to save money. So we can come and talk about that. We can come and try and encourage people, because as well as what you put into your body, moving more is really important. So absolutely, we can come and offer our One You program. We can come and look at the much wider picture. So yes, absolutely, we will be there. Thanks.
Thanks, Mel. Eve. Can't hear you, you're muted.
That better?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. A small question for Charlotte. If I understand it correctly, you're saying if somebody comes to a food bank for formula, that you would like for us to refer that person. Is that what I understand?
That would be the end goal. I think initially, if you have the formula there, then absolutely provide it. We can provide some sort of guidance around what kind of formulas should be provided for what particular age groups and things like that.
Sure.
I can speak to my colleagues in the maternity system around that, but the long-term goal would be that we're going to try and put a pathway in place so that there is a hub for people to go to, which also means that they get that contact around infant feeding in general, so that they would be then referred to the peer supporters if they were struggling with feeding, and the reason they're using milk is because they've had issues with feeding, but they didn't even know that there was this offer available, and other aspects around the infant nutrition can be discussed at that time, and it becomes like a more of a kind of holistic package for families with young children. So, with that early intervention in mind. So I think we're not at the stage where we can offer that yet. That's why we're trying to look at what is going on in the system and what is the need, and then we can work out how we set up that pathway for families. So I'd say if you have a request and you have the formula, absolutely, that we need to be making sure that babies are not going hungry. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. So we generally, as you say, don't get donations of it. We don't carry it. And we do tend to refer, but not refer. We usually will give information about the Southway Baby Bank, because they might be able to get stuff there. Yes. So what I'm understanding you're saying is you're talking about the concept and the big picture rather than individual referrals. That's not what you want.
No. We just want to at the moment we want to capture the need. So it's just about, if you have people coming forward asking for that formula, and we are going to contact the baby bank as well, obviously, to find out what referrals they've been receiving, and try and incorporate that into the system possibly. It's about just trying to find out from yourselves whether those families that are suffering with food insecurity at the moment, or experiencing food insecurity, sorry, are coming to you and and asking for infant formula, and just to capture that sort of those numbers at the moment, really.
Okay, so I mean that's the key thing for me, is that you're asking numbers and not names, because
No.
Okay.
I mean, it would be great if we could find out, where they lived, but at this stage, it's just numbers. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eve. Lindsay?
Roger's comment as food as medicine. We've gone on a bit of a journey in the soup run where if you've had a lifetime of counting your calories, you tend to think about reducing the amount of calories you give out. But in fact, for our clients, it's really important that they get enough calories and healthy calories, when some that are getting a lot of their calories from alcohol, for example. So we really try to present a balanced meal. And when you're working with food aid, donated food, that can be quite difficult. So we're careful to channel the money that we do have available to us towards protein and fruit, so that we do make a balanced offer. And there's always scope for us learning more about that. So, feel free to feed us information on nutrition. And thinking about things in the round, and particularly Mel's program, I think exercise is such another good way of improving your mental and physical health, and keeping warm, of course. So I'm wondering if some organised walks from some of the warm hubs might be, or exercise within them, if there's space, could be an interesting approach.
That's a great idea. I like that, Lindsay. Mel? Yeah, Mel likes that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but that whole thing about activities, at the warm hubs as well, so it's interesting for people. Jabo's put a really interesting piece in the chat about his work he does with DBI around communities of the soil, which takes us into a much wider range of the whole wider resilience piece, but I'd recommend that to you if you get a chance to follow that up. And can I ask a question, please, of Christina? It's lovely to see you, but I was wondering, are you getting something out of this? Is it particularly for young people at the foyer that you're looking for support, or have you got any needs, really? And if there's not time to say it now, please email us and we'll try and deal with those.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I've taken down little notes that I might be able to pass on to the residents. So, yeah.
But if you want us to come and have a chat to you about, what we do and some of the wider stuff in Food Plymouth, just drop us a line and we can easily do that if that helps.
Okay.
I'd be delighted to do that. Okay. All right.
No, that's great. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate we are a little bit over time. A couple of people have had to leave. So we'll wrap it up now and let you get on with your days. Thank you for everyone that's contributed. Loads going on. That's absolutely some really positive things going on, and we'll be in touch. So yeah, have a lovely day and see you all soon.
Right. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Tami, for setting up and facilitating.
Thank you.
Okay. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.